Hi, my name is Saundra and welcome back to a special scrapbooking video of my mom when she was a baby. In this photo, she is 9 months old. The year is 1930. The place, Lake Charles, Louisiana, where she grew up. The photo has a sepia palette, and the photographer then hand-colored the photograph afterwards. Anyway, I think this technique is so cool. I flip-flopped back and forth between the larger and the smaller photo, and I decided to go with the smaller photo. I made a sketch for this layout, which I'll show you in just a minute. It has lots of layers, so I picked the smaller photo over the large one. I think it'll work better. Anyway, I pulled out some of my supplies. That cloth is from a fabric swatch for home decor. I think almost anything can go into a scrapbook as long as it's flat enough to fit. I'm going to start with a 4-layer mat, but first my sketch. So, this is what's going on in my head, and I know it's going to look a little scary, but I don't draw. What I see is a black background, my photos on a 4-tier mat, then a layer of pink, then a layer of gold to the left side. Not sure where I'm going to put this cloth yet. Some red on the left side. I want to cut around a few of these envelopes before setting everything on top and putting it on the black background, and use the triangle to set my embellishments to help anchor the photo. So the first thing I did was pre-cut all of my mats and my paper while keeping in mind the sketch I have. I use my photo to create the mat, the black mat, the white, the brown, and so forth. Having a sketch in mind makes the project move a bit faster, but even with that said, I know I'll fool around with the placement of items, because what I'm trying to do is bring my sketch to life. So once I start touching the paper and feeling it and seeing the colors, and everything that I'm working with, the embellishments, my eyes are going to start to see more possibilities for the layout. But all in all, I'm sticking with the original sketch, which keeps my mind from wandering off too far off the deep end and running off into my stash for more supplies, because that could easily happen. And having a sketch really helps keep me focused on this particular layout and getting it done a lot faster than what I would without a sketch. And you can see that I'm beginning to make changes to the sketch, nothing major. The journaling card is now on the right, and instead of having the gold on the left side only, it has become a larger layer framing the photo and all the other layers. I really like this cloth. It is a baby picture, and I want to add some softness to the layout. This cloth and the design that's on it does that. It also helps pick up the cute outfit that my mom is wearing and make it stand out a bit more. So there's a lot you can do for your photo when showcasing them in a scrapbook. I decided on this style and textures based on a family trip my parents took my brothers and I on when I was 12. We drove from Atlantic City, New Jersey to Lake Charles, Louisiana, best trip ever, to visit my grandmother's home. And it was the best trip ever. She had a gorgeous home. It was full of Victorian furniture, lots of textures and colors. So where does inspiration come from when you're scrapbooking? For me, and this photo, it came from that trip. And inspiration can come from almost anything, but it all starts with a photo. And then maybe once you start pulling out your paper and your embellishments, more inspiration comes. It also comes from whatever the story is, of course, behind a photo. But let's say I have a photo and no ideas are flowing in my head of what to do, where to start. I don't even know what kind of paper or embellishments to use. And then that very big question, to mat or not to mat. Moments like these, a sketch can really come in handy. As far as paper and the colors, I try to choose colors that will always flatter the photo, and that's a nice place to start. And because there is so much to choose from out there, I try to limit myself. I pull out the paper and embellishments that I think I'd like to use, and I set it aside. If I don't know anything about the photo, even after asking myself several questions, but I know it's a family member, I'd probably scrapbook that photo anyway, particularly if my mother or my grandmother or some of the elders in the family said, uh, this person's family, I just don't remember who they are. I would probably scrapbook the photo and make it look as nice as possible, put it in the family album, and maybe somewhere along the line, somebody else, when looking at the photo, will figure out who they are. But at least for now, that photo's in with all the other family members. So we're going to move to super speed while I fool around getting everything in place here. And I'm happy to say I'm not deviating from the sketch too much. I am adding more layers to it, which is pretty nice. There are different reasons why I chose the different pattern papers that I picked out for this layout. The paper with the letters on it, that I chose because my mom was a big letter writer, and the moment I saw that paper, it's from Tim Holtz, I knew that this was the right layout for it. And sometimes papers like that, you see it and you know where it belongs. So this is where we are now. And what I'm going to do next is make a clock to go on the page. I'm making a base for it to sit on. Those little gears on the upper right, I'm going to put those underneath and stack them and make a circle of them so that it looks like a little antique clock. So to make this clock, it's really pretty easy. You make a base for the clock, which is actually a cutout, and I put a larger metal gear behind the clock just to give it, make it more sturdy. And then all it takes is fooling around with the gears on the smaller base to make it into a circle, which is the shape I'm going for. Hot glue it all down, and you get this neat little antique clock, which turned out to be a little too dark for the page, and much darker than what I wanted it to look like. So I decided to paint it. And I used like a brass gold color to paint it with, and it worked out really well. And I'm just putting the pieces together now. And I really like making some of my own embellishments. It really adds to the paper, and I like the creativity of doing little things like that, and it just really makes this layout work out so much better. My grandmother had this really neat clock in her bedroom sitting on her dresser, and it was old and brassy looking, and I just thought it was the neatest thing. I added some red to this side, which I wasn't going to do at first. I was going to put a strip of the flowers, but I used the red because I think it really helped frame the photo and keep everything in the center of the page. So we're going to move to warp speed here and take it to the end. I'm good to go with what I have left to do. I'm using a stamp as my title, All You Need Is Love, and I used a pen to fix it because it didn't come out all the way. And the addition to the actual sketch, I'm adding in some layers here on the right side. Mom, actually, the letters that have Mom on it are actually white, and I painted them black to make them pop up a little bit. They're thickers, but they were originally white. Anyway, I really want that flower on there, so I keep trying to make it work, and it does. And it's coming out pretty good. Much better than a sketch, I think. Anyway, I like it when a sketch comes together or a layout comes together. You're getting to the home stretch here. That little tiny attacher has come in so handy, particularly when you're making a layout that has a lot of weight to it. This is a heavy layout, so that really helps hold everything in place. Nothing wiggles. And some of the paper I chose, like that bold red, it's a cloth. It's so soft and it has such great textures that it really belongs on this particular page, I think. The blue is my mom's favorite color, so I added some blue in there, and gold. The butterfly ended up on the right instead of the left. But basically no major changes, and this was a very fast layout because of the sketch. I really made myself stick to it as best I could, and keeping the layout where I wanted it to be. I did add in the year of the photo, 1930. I thought that just looked great on top of the red. It really popped. So there's not like the normal title, I guess, going across the top or the bottom. Your title can be anything you want or anywhere you want on the page. And so it's kind of nice to mix things up every once in a while. And I'm adding in some little dots, pink dots, and I put it around the clock instead of the heart. I really thought it would frame the whole layout in the photo better. So let's take a look at the original sketch next to the photo, and you can see pretty much I stuck with the actual sketch. The layers for the photo, the pink, the gold, the red, it's all in place. The butterfly's in a different place. The journaling has a mat underneath it of the butterfly. But it worked out pretty well. The triangle shape is pretty much the same. But all in all, I actually stuck with my sketch, which, if you knew me, is hard to do. Anyway, here's the final layout and some stills, and thank you so much for joining me. What's up next is part 2 of Gone to the Beach. I hope you enjoy this video and come back and visit and like and subscribe. Have an awesome day.